Why does Trump ignore the killings and massacres committed by his new friend while threatening to invade Nigeria for the very same crimes this man has committed? The answer to this question not only reveals that America has no genuine religious or moral standards, but it also exposes the true and dangerous agenda of the American empire, an agenda for which millions around the world continue to die as collateral, even today. If you care about a fair and free planet where everyone, regardless of skin color, birthplace, or religion, has the right to live freely and abundantly, then this video is for you. If you don't know me, my name is TJ. I'm Nigerian and British mixed, and on this channel, we talk about African geopolitics. Donald Trump has a new friend. It's a man with a documented history of war crimes and atrocities, including the killing of Christians. Just yesterday, that same man was welcomed into the White House, where those crimes were quietly brushed aside as if they never happened.
I liked him. I get along with him, the president, the new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that anyone can remember that ever happening. We want to see Syria become a country that's very successful, and I think this leader can do it. I really do. I think this leader can do it. And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts, but he has had a rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance.
So yesterday, Donald Trump hosted a former al-Qaeda member, now turned Syrian president, Ahmed al Sharaa, at the White House. The two had previously met earlier this year in Damascus, but this time al Sharaa enjoyed the full hospitality of the White House, including a sit-down in the Oval Office and photo opportunities broadcast around the world. I'd heard plenty of rumors about how brutal and dangerous this man was based on his past, but I wanted to see some facts for myself. So what I did was went over to Perplexity AI, which provides verified answers drawn from credible news sources. Here's exactly what I asked. Is it true that Ahmed al Sharaa was a member of al-Qaeda? If so, would he not have been deemed a terrorist in the eyes of the United States? Perplexity responded with the following. Yes, it is true that Ahmed al Sharaa, also known as Abu Ahmed al-Juwan, was a member of al-Qaeda and led the group's branch in Syria, Jihad al-Nusra, which was designated as a terrorist organization by the United States. For many years, he was considered a terrorist by the US government and was listed as a specially designated global terrorist with a $10 million bounty on his head. However, in late 2025, the US government removed al Sharaa from the terrorist list and lifted sanctions against him following his leadership in overthrowing the Assad regime, as well as his efforts to distance himself from al-Qaeda and present a more moderate and nationalist agenda. This change in designation reflects a shift in US policy, acknowledging his role in Syria's new government and his commitment to fighting ISIS and promoting stability. This then prompted me to ask Perplexity another question. Are there any documented cases of al Sharaa killing or committing any brutal or murderous acts? Perplexity responded. There are documented cases of brutal and murderous acts committed by groups under al Sharaa's leadership, particularly during his time leading the Nusra Front of Hay't Tahrir al Sham. Under his command, these groups were responsible for a series of war crimes, including suicide bombs, forced conversions, ethnic cleansing, and sectarian massacres targeting Syrian Christians, Alawite, Shia, and Druze minorities. Just think about this for a second. When veterans, these Marines and these guys come home, and they talk about these people that are doing suicide bombs in the war-torn areas in which they're operating, they're talking about these type of guys. As you scroll through this answer, which was quite extensive, you see more and more examples, hundreds, even thousands of people killed as a direct result of this man's actions. These types of killings bear similarities to the ones happening right now in Sudan or DRC, but especially to the jihadist attacks in northern Nigeria and across the Sahel region. This is particularly interesting right now in light of Donald Trump's actions towards the same group over the past week. By now, many of you are aware that Trump's publicly declared he's seriously considering invading Nigeria to combat the groups carrying out massacres similar to the ones committed by al Sharaa, massacres he labels a Christian genocide. That label alone was ill-informed at best and blatantly disingenuous at worst, because to date, these so-called jihadist groups have actually killed more Muslims than Christians over the past 15 to 20 years. Many of you will remember the Bring Back Our Girls campaign led by Michelle Obama, which was when much of the world first became aware of these groups and their brutal actions across Nigeria. Trump's claim that he intends to intervene and destroy these terrorist networks was clearly designed to present him as a righteous, benevolent defender of faith and freedom, embodying the ideals of the American eagle, truth, justice, and liberty for all. Yet the double standard on display here is staggering. To welcome a documented warlord while threatening to kill similar fighters in Nigeria swiftly and sweetly, as he put it, exposes a level of hypocrisy so extreme that I might not have believed it if I did not witness these actions unfold online myself. Many of you have dropped comments asking how you can support this channel, even offering to donate or help financially. Until recently, I had no way to make this possible, but now through my Substack, it's never been easier for you to lend me some support. There's a free tier where you'll get 1 email per week, and for just $5 a month, about the price of a nice coffee, you'll receive a daily written update from all of my content, everything I produce. I'll be engaging with those of you who join, asking your thoughts on how to serve you and the continent better. Sometimes my videos do get demonetized, and there's also a small chance, as we saw with the Platform Africa stream, that a channel like this could be deplatformed. Even if the worst happens, we can regroup, rebuild, and keep pushing forward. We don't want any third party controlling this message, so with email backing us up, we can communicate directly. Thank you in advance for signing up. I look forward to connecting with you, not just on YouTube, but via email as well. So now we've got to ask the question, why does Donald Trump feel it's so necessary to intervene in something he's just demonstrated he doesn't care about? He doesn't care about the murders and Christian killings of this guy. If you can be friends with someone who's committed atrocities, why the need to invade Nigeria for those same atrocities? Well, if you've been watching my channel for any period of time, you will likely already know the answer. Here's the third question I asked Perplexity after those first two. Are there any mineral resource interests in Syria for the United States to gain with this alliance? Perplexity responds, the alliance between the United States and Syria under President Ahmed al Sharaa involves significant mineral and resource interests, especially in Syria's energy sector. Syria is rich in natural resources such as crude oil, gas, iron ore, phosphate, manganese, marble, salt rock, and gypsum. The Syrian government has proposed a mineral and energy partnership to the US, similar to the deal the US had with Ukraine, aiming to lift sanctions in exchange for access to these resources. Now, I wonder what kind of message this sends to the jihadists that are currently invading northern Nigeria. If someone was to be able to talk to them and say, hey, aren't you worried about how you'll be treated after the success of your campaigns? They might say, well, look at the Syria situation. As long as I slick back my hair and put on a suit, they might just march me into the White House, take photos in the Oval Office and say,
People said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts.
nothing to worry about. The truth is that when you travel around the world and you observe who America labels as villains and who it celebrates as heroes, particularly when it comes to leaders, presidents, heads of states, you begin to notice a clear pattern. There are two types of leaders in America's eyes. Villains, the ones who refuse to give the United States access to their national resources, and heroes, the ones that do. Muammar Gaddafi, labeled a villain, overthrown and killed because he believed in African sovereignty and independence from Western control. Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, all branded as tyrants and killed, all leaders who simply refused to bow down to US pressure. Take another example, the current situation in Venezuela right now. The media paints him as a villain simply because he refuses to submit to Washington's economic interests. Yet a true villain, a man who's responsible for ethnic cleansing, massacres, and killings of Christians, walks freely into the White House, smiling for photos and shaking hands. And we, the everyday people, are expected just to accept that this is normal, accept the narrative being presented to us without question. This is the true taste of US morality. And by the way, it doesn't just stop at resources. There's another interest, which is Syria's proximity to Israel. Israel has long expressed interest in parts of Syria's territory, claiming them as part of their so-called promised land, while citing security concerns following their own recent military actions against Palestinian Muslims. This geopolitical overlap makes the US-Syria alliance not just about minerals and energy, but about the broader regional control and influence.
I will tell you, I think it is working and really well. We're working also with Israel on, getting along with Syria.
No doubt, we are likely to see this warlord's skills put into action through direct or proxy wars in the direction of Iran, another nation labeled as controlled by villains. Unless, of course, Washington manages to install a new government there, overthrowing Iran's corrupt leadership with maybe another fighter like al Sharaa. But of course, they've done this several times. The pattern is there. If anyone just wants to go and research it, you'll see it many, many, many times over again. The tragic reality is that human lives are the collateral for these endless power plays. Whether it's Christians or Muslims in northern Nigeria, families in Gaza, civilians in Syria, or the people across the Sahel states right now suffering, the story remains the same. I've been following the headlines in Mali, which right now is under severe pressure and destabilization from foreign-backed jihadist groups. Yet many of these fighters are simply just paid mercenaries. The West, France, Europe, America, has never hesitated to deal with bloodthirsty extremists when destabilization services are in need. In other words, to serve their interests. The killings in Nigeria are directly linked to weapons and training supplied by outside forces. I mean, if anyone thinks I'm wrong, tell me, where do these groups get these drones and advanced weapon systems? Sometimes more advanced than Nigeria's own army itself. I mean, they didn't learn how to build them and operate them in the bushes. Someone trained them, armed them, and guided them. This exposes the dark underbelly of global control the West continues to operate. It's so dark that I think probably half the people in the Western nations wouldn't even believe it if they were confronted with the truth. But it remains my opinion that America would not be the country it is today if it hadn't looted and plundered its way through the world. A winner-takes-all mindset with imperialist ambition, inherited directly from the British DNA over 100 years ago. If the world is to be rid of this imperialist hypocrisy, we must call it out whenever we see it. That's what this video is about. Someone has to say, hey, we can see what you're doing. So what do you guys out there think about this? Have you been following this story? I would love to know your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments. But if you have nothing to say, would it be too much for me to ask you to write the words? We can see the lies. It just lets me know that you watched the video to the end, you like the channel, you support what I do, you want me to continue. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.